Well, the big news today was the fact that Shedeur Sanders suffered an oblique injury in early drills. He was shut down for the rest of practice.
If it's a right guard, you could play for that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds.
You got to break this down. So we're going to break this down because what Kevin Stefanski did is actually par for the course. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear it. I know a lot of fans don't know about it.
We've got some breaking developments out of Cleveland. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has announced that Shedeur Sanders is dealing with an oblique issue, leaving his availability for Saturday's preseason clash in doubt. But here's where the plot thickens. Insiders close to Sanders insist this isn't the big setback it's being made out to be. They're calling it nothing more than routine soreness, something he's pushed through before, most recently in the last game, where he performed without missing a beat. So why the sudden wave of caution? Many are starting to believe this isn't about protecting Sanders at all. Instead, it's looking like Stefanski might be intentionally pulling him from the competition. If that's true, we could be witnessing a calculated move to keep a young talent from stealing the spotlight. And trust me, this story is far from over.
We know how the game goes. But then he starts talking about the offense, right? 0 giveaways. Okay, this is when you're supposed to insert Shedeur, some fans think. Let's talk.
Special teams, Spooky!
Just days after the game, Kevin Stefanski addressed the media, making it clear that Shedeur Sanders wasn't necessarily in the running for the starting role. He stressed that his priority was developing every quarterback on the roster equally. Sounds reasonable enough, until the depth chart dropped. That's when things took an unexpected turn. Despite Sanders putting up what many are calling the best quarterback performance of the entire preseason, Stefanski still slotted him at the 4th spot. And here's the twist. Both Dillon and Pickett were injured at the time, yet Sanders somehow ended up behind them on the list. It's a move that doesn't just defy logic, it adds even more fuel to the growing speculation about what's really happening behind closed doors in Cleveland. Just when it looked like things couldn't get any more tangled, fresh reports hit the scene indicating that Stefanski doesn't plan to play Shedeur Sanders in the second preseason matchup. That news has only poured gasoline on the fire. Despite his eye-catching performance, it's becoming more and more evident that Sanders might not fit into the Browns' short-term vision, at least not in the way fans and experts had imagined. Which begs the question, is this a carefully crafted strategic move, or is there a deeper, perhaps more personal, agenda influencing these calls? And now suddenly, he's injured. There's got to be something more going on behind the scenes, because just when the pressure was mounting from every side to play Shedeur Sanders, the Browns seemed to be trying to downplay that idea. When they couldn't come up with any other excuse, they resorted to calling it arm soreness, something that, according to them, would definitely be rectified by tomorrow. This raises even more suspicion. Is this really about an injury, or is this just the Browns' way of keeping Sanders sidelined amidst all the mounting pressure to get him on the field? Something doesn't quite add up here.
Because all I know is that what I keep hearing is what you're telling me what he can't do. Like my coach just said in college, find something that he can do. See, you keep telling me what Shedeur can't do. Well, your job as a coach is to put players in position and find something that they can do.
Even Stefanski himself admitted that Sanders' recovery might take a little longer than usual, stressing the need to be cautious because it involves a key muscle group. But the way he chose his words, and the hesitance in his tone, only added to the mystery. Every sentence seemed carefully measured, almost as if he was tiptoeing around the truth. His reluctance to be fully transparent is starting to make it feel like there's more to this story than he's letting on.
If it's a right guard, you could play for that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds.
Even prominent voices in the football world, like Dan Orlovsky, have been urging Stefanski to give Shedeur Sanders a shot with the first-team offense. Yet, despite Sanders' standout showing in the last game, Stefanski hasn't moved an inch. And now, almost out of nowhere, the storyline has shifted to him being injured? Let's be real, that's a hard sell given the way events have unfolded. With everything Sanders has proven on the field, it's tough to believe that an injury is the true reason he's sidelined. There's no doubt this situation runs deeper than what we're being told. Dan Orlovsky didn't mince words recently when he took aim at Stefanski for refusing to give Shedeur Sanders more opportunities. He flat-out challenged the coach, asking why Sanders wasn't being allowed to prove himself. Orlovsky argued that if Stefanski genuinely believes Sanders hasn't earned those reps, then he should back it up with real evidence showing the young QB can't deliver. But here's the thing. Sanders' preseason play had already done the talking. His performance was proof enough that he's ready for the responsibility, and Orlovsky made it clear it was past time for Stefanski to give him that shot.
What does it look like? And he looked like a guy that should be getting opportunity to say, nope, you're actually not good enough. If I were the Browns, he would be getting reps with the starters this week. I felt like going into the game, if he played a certain way, that would be the case. He should getting reps with the starters this week, and he should... I always say it this way, prove to me you can't do it. Prove to me you can't do it. And so far, he has not done that.
Rather than responding directly to Orlovsky's criticism, Stefanski shifted the conversation, claiming that Shedeur Sanders was dealing with an injury and would be unavailable for the next game. To many, it felt like yet another excuse to keep him on the sidelines, even as public pressure to give him a real opportunity kept building. The timing of this injury announcement just seemed a little too convenient. Fans, who had been eager to see Sanders build on his stellar preseason outings, were left frustrated. That excitement quickly turned into calls for the Browns to trade him, believing he deserved a legitimate chance elsewhere. Reports from Nick Wright even suggested that Sanders himself had requested a move if the team's treatment of him didn't change. The tension between player and team is now impossible to ignore, and the spotlight on Cleveland has never been brighter. Wright pointed out that a trade to the Rams could be the perfect outcome for all sides. For Shedeur, it would mean a chance to grow and refine his game without the constant glare of media scrutiny. For the Rams, it would lock in a promising long-term quarterback to build around. And for the Browns, it would still be a profitable move. They could likely get a third or fourth-round pick in return, a solid gain considering they originally drafted him in the 5th round.
If I'm Shedeur, I am hoping beyond hope I get 3 quarters, that I look decent, and the Los Angeles Rams call the Browns so I can be their 3rd-string quarterback. Because the Rams' story right now is Matt Stafford's got a bad back, and that is really concerning. And their backup quarterback, while a fine backup quarterback, has his own injury concerns, which is Jimmy Garoppolo. If I'm Shedeur, there will be no media attention like, should he be the starter? Stafford's there. And for the Rams, it gives you a chance to maybe have an answer at quarterback, even if it's a long shot. If you're the Browns, if you spent a 5th on Shedeur and just trade him for a 4th, you won.
Whether a trade will actually materialize is still uncertain, but Stefanski's apparent efforts to slow Shedeur's progress have sparked serious concern. Inside the organization, more and more people are starting to believe Sanders' time in Cleveland could be coming to an end. Yet one thing is undeniable. Owner Jimmy Haslam is firmly against letting him go. After seeing the wave of fan support for Sanders, Haslam has thrown his backing behind the young quarterback, leaving Stefanski in a difficult position.
What did Kevin Stefanski do or not do that got everybody mad and hot 100? Let's talk.
All right, fellas, hey, that concludes.
In the end, the situation surrounding Shedeur Sanders has evolved from a preseason storyline into one of the most talked-about dramas in the NFL. What started as questions about playing time has now spiraled into speculation about hidden motives, potential trades, and even tensions within the Browns organization itself. Stefanski's handling of Sanders, whether strategic or personal, has drawn criticism from fans, analysts, and even high-profile figures like Dan Orlovsky. Every move, from depth chart decisions to sudden injury announcements, has only fueled the narrative that something bigger is going on behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Sanders' talent is undeniable, and his performances have made it clear he can compete at a high level. The groundswell of fan support, paired with owner Jimmy Haslam's backing, has put Stefanski under intense scrutiny. Whether the resolution comes in the form of a trade, a change in coaching approach, or a surprising breakthrough in trust between player and coach, one thing is certain: the eyes of the football world will remain locked on Cleveland. For Sanders, the next chapter could either cement him as a franchise cornerstone or mark the start of a new journey elsewhere. What do you think is really going on here? Is this all part of a calculated strategy by Stefanski? Or is there a deeper conflict brewing behind the scenes in Cleveland? Should the Browns trade Shedeur Sanders and give him a fresh start elsewhere? Or fight to keep him as their future star? And if you were in Jimmy Haslam's shoes, how would you handle this situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think.